the threat of persistently higher inflation has grown. The test that we've articulated, I think, clearly has been met now. Inflation has run well above 2% for long enough. The word transitory has different meanings to different people. It's probably a good time to retire that word and try to explain more clearly what we mean. You've seen our policy adapt, and you'll see it continue to adapt. We will use our tools to make sure that higher inflation does not become entrenched. The economy is very strong and inflationary pressures are high, and it is therefore appropriate, in my view, to consider wrapping up the taper of our asset purchases, which we actually announced at the November meeting, perhaps a few months sooner.
It's a miracle. The Federal Reserve is finally going to take care of the problem. Guess we won't be needing silver anymore, will we? Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching Yankee Stacking. And if you were to believe our central bank and the media talking heads, it appears that they've performed a miracle. We won't be needing our silver and gold anymore. Why? Because the Fed has it all under control. They have transformed from being a dove to a hawk. Ooh, the stock market better watch out. Powell's a tough guy now, and he means business this time. Wrong. Nothing has changed. This is just the Fed bloviating. It's an act, people. It's a pathetic charade. Our economic situation is worse. Inflation is not transitory. Thanks a lot, Jerome. Consumer debt is exploding once again. Black Friday was a massive disappointment. Online shopping was down. Did you hear that? For the first time in history. And brick and mortar purchases, they were way down too. I heard it was over 28% down from pre-pandemic levels. People aren't buying stuff. Not like they have. They're scared. Okay, we have people leaving the workforce in droves. Government spending is at record highs. What's $1 trillion here, $1 trillion there? It's crazy what the government is doing. And I'm not going to go into it in detail, but the threat from this administration against those who won't comply with their crazy mandates is so maddening. But anyways, back to Powell. He said that the central banks might need to speed up the tapering of asset purchases in order to tamp down on inflation. Right? Yeah, we're gonna slap that inflation around. He said at this point the economy is very strong. Okay? And it is therefore appropriate, in my view, to consider wrapping up the taper of our asset purchases, which we actually announced at the November meeting, perhaps a few months sooner. Of course, a little later, when he was doing the question and answer section, he said he was asked, actually, when the U.S. government should address the risks posed by, surging national debt, all this debt that we've been taking on. And he said that America does need to get back on a fiscally sustainable path. But we need to wait until the economy is strong. Which is it, Jerome? Is the economy very strong or not strong yet? Folks, he's talking out of both sides of his mouth. So I'm going to open up a couple things that I purchased recently in silver, and I'm going to give you the ugly truths, okay? Six ugly truths. But yeah, I picked up another roll of silver quarters. I am still working on my guardhouse box. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's going to be awesome. I'll add that to the stack soon. And, this. Yes. Oh, well, I actually haven't gotten in here yet, so this is a first here. We'll take a look. What do you think I got, huh? Oh, a tube of Britannias. Oh, 2022s. Gorgeous. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about what I think is going to happen with silver and gold at the end of the video. So keep watching. But I need to tell you the 6 ugly truths that we're facing right now. The first one is the economy is not very strong. All right, Jay. No, it's weak. We've just begun to feel the effects of actually stagflation. Okay, stagflation, that's rising prices, right? Low economic growth and employment down. Check, check, check. Okay, it's weak. That's the first ugly truth. The second ugly truth is that the trumpeted Fed taper of bond purchases and mortgage-backed securities has barely begun. They're nowhere close to wrapping it up. I mean, that's a joke. All right, so the third ugly truth is that, and this is a big one, right? The markets are now 100% dependent on the Fed's asset purchasing and artificial low interest rates. 100% dependent, okay? If they don't prop up the markets, they're all gonna fail, all of them. Remember, rate hikes that they say it's coming, right? They're supposed to happen after the taper is wrapped up. If we ever get to that point, then they'll start talking about raising interest rates. The ugly truth is that our central bank can't do that. They are the pump that keeps the air in the bubble. And if and when tightening actually happens, not the talk, okay, not that, the actions, right? The house of cards is going to collapse. Fail, fail, fail. The bond market is going to fail. Why? Because buying debt props up the treasury markets. It creates fake demand, okay? So the price of the bond goes up. It drives the price up, and by the way bonds work, interest rates go down. And low interest rates are what they need because of our obscene debt, okay? We can't afford high interest rates. So you stop buying the bonds that nobody else really wants, fail, okay? The housing market fails. Why? Because the Fed stops buying the toxic assets that very few institutions want. Fail. The stock market fails. Right now, we're actually starting to see, I think, a taper tantrum forming over the last week. It's just started. I think they're getting spooked. Forget interest rates, okay? We haven't even gotten to that point. The stock market needs the stimulus to keep the stock valuations at insane levels. No stimulus from the Fed? Fail. All right, so I mean, if you've got stocks, I've been telling you, be very careful how long you wait before you get out of this frothy market. Cryptocurrency markets fail. Now, this is probably a hot button for some of you out there. Why? Because, contrary to what some people think, the crypto market is heavily correlated with the stock market. It's not a store of value. It's a manic craps table, okay? And when the Fed takes out the stimulus, fail in the crypto markets. And what about the gold and silver market? Well, I'm going to get to that at the close of the video, like I said, so just keep watching. I'm going to get there. All right, the fourth ugly truth. It's that if they can get to these rate hikes, which I don't think they're going to be anemic, completely feckless to help against inflation. Remember, we can't handle normal interest rates anymore. Those days are gone. In fact, go back to the days of Paul Volcker when he was chairman of the Fed. He had to take interest rates to 20% to take on double-digit inflation. 20%, not 1 or 5%, 20. We could never do that now. In fact, really quick, remember your history here. This is really important. The first really big round of interest rate cuts happened back in the early 90s. Okay, rates dropped all the way down to 3% and as high as 6% when we got to, I think, 1995. Then the dot-com bubble popped. I remember this very, very well. And rates went below 1% for the first time ever. Okay? After that, the Fed tried to tighten up, got the rates all the way back up to, say, I think it was 5%, around that, 5%. Then came the housing market collapse and the Great Recession. And a panicked Fed had to drop the rates all the way down to zero. Again, that was the first time they had ever done that. And it stayed there until the very first rate hike, which wasn't until 2015. After that, rates never got above 2.5%. Ever. Never got above 2.5%. Why? Because as soon as the Fed really tried to normalize back in, it was the end of 2018, they tried to raise them just a little bit at a time, right? Boom, boom, boom. The stock market threw a fit. They were addicted to the cheap money and had violent withdrawals. So what did the Fed do? They slammed into reverse, cut the rates. They did it 3 times in 2019. And then, of course, what happened? COVID-19 hit. And we went back to zero and had the most massive quantitative easing in the history of the world. You see what happens? They try to bring it up and boom, it goes lower. Boom, it goes lower. And they have to do more because it's not enough. Like when you're addicted to something, it doesn't give you the high anymore. You need more of it, right? So the Fed had to do more. They had to do the quantitative easing. That is history. And I got to ask you guys, if we couldn't get above 2.5% back in 2018, what makes anyone think we're going to go any higher than that in the next round of this tightening cycle? I don't even think they're going to be able to get that high. I think it'll be a few quarter basis points that they raise. Woo, isn't that wonderful? Again, if they can finish the taper without that blowing up in their face. In other words, this whole thing that the Fed is planning on doing is fantasy. Okay, that's the fourth thing. It's just a fantasy. That's the ugly truth. The fifth thing is that we're not even talking about shrinking our massive Federal Reserve balance sheet. That is what really needs to happen. Trillions of excess currency floating around in the economy, dollars that they pumped into our fake economy, has to come out. No one is even talking about this, it seems. We're all hot and sweaty over a Fed simply slowing down the stimulus. It's nuts. Okay, so the sixth thing. It's the Omicron variant, folks. Oh, what a blessing from heaven of an excuse that is for the government and the Federal Reserve and the Treasury. In fact, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is already using the Omicron variant as an excuse. She said it could prolong the problem of rising prices. So inflation isn't transitory. I mean, it was transitory. It really was. And we were right, okay? But now Omicron is here, and that's the reason prices aren't going to come down anytime soon. It's nothing to do with the trillions of dollars that the Fed printed out of thin air or the trillions of dollars that the U.S. government just showered on American consumers. No, it's not that. It's Omicron. That's sheer baloney. Okay, it's an excuse. They love the crises. They never let a crisis go to waste, right? They live from crisis to crisis, hoping that they have an excuse to be able to print more money, stimulate all they can. So that's the sixth ugly truth, okay? They're looking for an excuse, and they found one in the Omicron variant. So, yes, I got the Queenie up on this one. It must have flipped over. That's better. So what's the Fed going to do, and what does this mean to gold and silver? Well, you got to ask yourself, guys, do you think that they are going to fight inflation? Do you think the Fed's going to be a hawk and in the process prick the everything bubble? If you do, if you think that they can pull a rabbit out of the hat, and perform the miracle that everybody thinks is going to happen, then you know what? Don't buy silver and gold. Trust the Fed. Believe that they've got all the tools and they're the magicians and they'll get it all right this time. Come on, guys. Do you remember when they said that the subprime crisis was contained? Don't trust the Fed. Okay, so they could switch back to an easing monetary policy. Print more money, buy more bonds, stimulate the economic growth, be dovish. That's what I think they're going to do. I think they have to. So again, if you believe that, then this is what you need to be buying. Hang in there, people, with silver and gold. Make sure you're stacking for the right reasons. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. If you want that, go buy some, crypto, all right? If this is what you're stacking, be patient. Inflation is not going away. Stagflation has just started. Interest rates will not be increased in any meaningful way, okay? They can't afford it. It's not going to happen. And real interest rates, the rates that are adjusted to inflation, they are going to stay negative, in my opinion. They're going to be going down. Real interest rates going down is great for precious metals. And that's why I think you need to be stacking real money, gold and silver, before the bubbles all pop. Understand that when the bubbles pop, immediately after that, gold and silver could take a hit. All right, they did back during the global financial crisis. But then they went on an amazing bull run. Don't miss out on that. Well, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit the like button down below. That thumbs up means a lot to me. And I hope your day is A-OK.